Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is October 17th, and right now we're looking at the infrared satellite imagery. You can see we got a weak system moving through the area right now. It is producing a little bit of light precipitation, but we've got a stronger storm out here across the Gulf of Alaska. And this is going to move across as we go on in through this week and bringing some blustery conditions and a nice round of rainfall for much of the region. Then we're going to take a look at the extended forecast that continues to look extremely interesting. You got to wait and see what the models have been showing here over the last couple of days. I'm going to start to unleash some of that upon you here in a moment. But first things first, you can see what the Climate Prediction Center is putting out. They are definitely taking notice of this potentially active pattern coming up as we go through the later portion of October. It looks like about the last week of October. I mean, we've got all kinds of stuff, and they felt strongly enough about it where you can see they got a big discussion here. Pause that if you want to know more about it. You can read it there zoomed in so you can see it a little bit easier. But yeah, up and down the West Coast, man, we got a very active jet stream reaching across the Pacific Ocean that's going to bring some pretty strong storms somewhere in our vicinity. Now, if we take a look at where we are currently here today, you can see some light precipitation across some of Seattle. I was out and about in that a little bit this morning, some light precipitation elsewhere, and not much else to speak of here. But we do have that stronger storm coming this week, and we'll talk a little bit about that here more in a moment. So looking at high temperatures today, Friday, October 17th, there's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then as we go off into the extended, you can kind of see how things start to cool down across the region as we get that storm track really pointed at the Pacific Northwest. So if you want a nice affordable home weather station, it's not too late to get one of these before this storm train starts rolling in as we go through the end of the month. Click on the link down below to save 10% off on one. You will not regret it. Very fun weather station, easy to install. And I thought I would mention this also. We have the increased sneaker wave threat. This is for the Oregon coast, but I would just consider this for the Washington coast as well. You can see this is Friday morning. That's today, October 17th, all the way through Sunday night, October 19th. Never turn your back on the ocean during the fall and the winter months. And avoid jetties and logs near waterline the beaches. Those logs out there are extremely heavy. They're waterlogged. They can pin you. They can crush you. And people die every single year along our coastlines. And we're going to have some big wave action rolling in as we go through the later portion of this month. So we need people to be aware. Let's see if we can keep the deaths at zero for the year. And again, this is Medford, Oregon National Weather Service talking about the sneaker wave threat all the way on in through Sunday. Now, looking off across portions of Montana as well, you can see we are going to have this pattern change rolling in here. Nice graphics from the National Weather Service Missoula. So I thought I'd share some of that with you. You can see some of this mountain snow as we go on into the next few days, above 4,500 feet mainly. Look out past I-90. It could be affected at times. And we've got some high wind watch there for portions in northwest Montana and some breezy conditions, lake wind advisory also. So now let's take a look here. We can see the frontal system, or the weak system, we'll just call it here, moving through on the day today. Transient ridge as we go through the day Saturday. Stronger storm arrives this weekend. Proper fall blustery system for some locations. Nice precipitation amounts. We'll take a look at that here more in a moment. Transient ridge. And then we look off into the extended. And you can see as of last night's European run, look at the Gulf of Alaska. The cauldron just absolutely gets ripping out there across the Pacific Ocean, and that is going to point the storm train right at the Pacific Northwest. And we've got a lot to talk about with regards to that. And I'll also show you another way to look at that. There's the Hawaiian Islands bottom left. There's the Pacific Northwest right here, kind of bottom center. There's Africa, there's Greenland, there's the North Pole, and there's Japan right there. What we're looking at is 300 millibars, or about 30,000 feet up in the atmosphere. And you don't need to be a meteorologist to find out where the strongest jet stream is going to be as we start to move on in through next week. I mean, look at this jet extension just ripping across the Pacific Ocean, pointed at the west coast of North America. Big, deep troughing, potential strong storms developing in this region in the vicinity of the west coast of North America. So lots to watch here over the next few days. Some of the models just absolutely going bonkers on what's coming our way. But first things first, let's take a look at the precipitation amounts. I'll try to go through this a little bit quickly here. You can see Seattle about a half an inch there. Higher amounts across the higher train. Look at Southwest BC, up over an inch, maybe towards 2 inches. Vancouver Island, Olympic Mountains. Lesser amounts through the Willamette Valley and east of the mountains with this first shot of precipitation. So that is this weekend storm. You can see the rain starting as you go on in through Saturday, on the day Saturday for western BC, heck, and then as you go on in through Saturday afternoon and evening, western Washington, then spreading across the area. And if we wrap this up on Tuesday morning right there, you can see the precipitation totals, but a lot more to come after that. Now, accumulated 10-meter max wind gusts with this frontal system. You can see we do get a bit blustery. I mean, Seattle, you might notice this for Tacoma, Olympia, Seattle, gust in the mid and upper 30s. Some areas like Bellingham, some of the islands out there could be gusting up over 45 miles per hour, Quileute 46, and some of the higher terrain as well. So it'll blow some leaves around here. I don't expect big time damage or anything like that, but we may be looking at different scenarios here later in the forecast. So I've gone ahead and went out to October 25th there. This is, I believe, so this is yesterday morning's run here on the artificial intelligence model. If I scroll through, you can kind of see it right there. So look at this absolute beast it shows for Saturday afternoon, October 25th. You might think that's far out here, but with these windstorms, we can kind of see these off into the extended forecast. We just don't know exactly where they're going to take place. And then we can go on in to look at the 18Z run. You can see model to model consistency, or model run to run consistency is there. I mean, look at this 965 millibar low. Are you kidding me? Spinning up the coastline, just an absolute monster out there. Well, let's see what yesterday afternoons look like. And again, very powerful low pressure system. I mean, look at this 971 millibar low right off the Oregon coastline. Huge pressure rise. That would bring a fairly damaging windstorm across the region if that were to verify. Now, let's take a look at what last night's model run, the most recent. And again, another absolute beast. I mean, 953. This is one of the this would be one of the strongest low pressure systems to ever approach the coastline for the Pacific Northwest. It would be up in the top 5 most likely. But you know, just a reminder that this is a fantasy forecast right now. We're still looking 200 hours out in the forecast, but you can see the run-to-run consistency. The last 4 have shown these beasts off our coastline. So if we take a look at the individual members, this is the European artificial intelligence. This is what's known as a spaghetti plot, and you'll see why we call it a spaghetti plot here. This is this weekend storm. You can see this, sub 980 millibar low, pretty strong storm there. It is weakening, but it will bring us a decent frontal system here to the Pacific Northwest. And then we start to get the Gulf of Alaska churning, and you can see some of these deep lows out here just off the South Alaska coastline. Baroclinic boundary is going to set up somewhere out over the Pacific Ocean, and it's going to allow for some stronger storm development to get towards the Pacific Northwest. And you can kind of see this looks like a spirograph. Remember, you used to play with those when you were kids, and you can kind of zig and zag all over the page. But look at some of these reds out there. These are sub 960 millibar lows getting close to the Pacific Northwest. But you can see kind of the chaos and just the uncertainty in the forecast. So this is what your mind should look like right now. It's not like we can start pinpointing the exact track of these storm systems, but you can see we get some really strong lows in very close to the region. And if we take a look at the GFS ensemble member minimum, we'll take a look here, and I'll show you some more on the GFS here in a moment. But as we go on in towards next week, you can see the Gulf of Alaska just get absolutely ripping. Then you see some of these stronger lows trying to reach towards the Pacific Northwest as we go through the extended forecast. So the GFS is in agreement with the stronger systems moving towards our area. And also, I want to show you some of the waves here. So as we go through this weekend, actually not bad. I mean, look at the set coming in here as we go on in through the day on Sunday. Not a bad wave watching day. But if one of these beastly storms comes towards our coastline, look at some of this action here on in through the following weekend. Just absolutely huge waves coming towards the coastline. So yeah, I might have to go out there and chase something like that if it were to occur. Now, Seattle-Tacoma, this is the mean for the next system here as we go on in through the day Sunday. You can see it is in the upper 30s there. Could get some nuisance power outages with the first storm of the season. Still leaves on trees and whatnot. And really, the trees haven't been tested too much just yet. But if we take a look at Quileute, this is this weekend storm right there. And then you can see just some of these absolute monsters lurking off in our extended forecast. I mean, some of these are just up over 70, 79 miles per hour right there. Just absolutely ridiculous. And a lot of these up into the 70s. I mean, some huge storms showing up in the model run. So yeah, it's showing up in the ensembles as well. Now, if we take a look at the GFS, so this is yesterday afternoon's run, and you can see it does have a very strong low approaching our coastline, something similar to what the artificial intelligence was showing as well. And if we go let's see. So I showed you yesterday afternoons. Here's last night's, and we'll go ahead and take a look at last night's. And still very strong storm. This would be trouble as well, because off in the extended like that, this low, if it were to deepen more, it could just come up the coastline and rake much of the region. So it continues to show some strong systems coming our way. Now, this one is hot off the presses. I have not studied this one just yet. So let's see what it shows in the same time period. Pretty strong low in its own right there on October 23rd. And you can see Bear Clinic boundary right there off the Oregon coastline. Now let's see if it has that next big storm. Well, you can see something developing out there. It approaches the coastline, and oh boy, yeah, look at that thing. 966 millibar, weakening slightly as it moves onshore. What an absolute beast. My goodness, 969 millibar low right off of Seaside there. So yeah, you can see the models are continuing to show this very active storm track, and even show some strong storms behind those as well. I mean, look at that one, 949. Are you kidding me? Right off of Haida Gwaii. So yeah, that's the result of that jet stream extension pointed back across the Pacific Ocean. And the risk of heavy precipitation, I don't remember ever seeing a high risk before. And this is the last week of October, but the moderate risk extends all the way up across Cascades westbound. This will include western British Columbia as well. We go to risk of heavy snow. There's a high risk in there as well. I don't remember seeing that one also. And you can see moderate up and down the Cascades, depending on how these storms come in. But yeah, last week of October, and moderate risk. They've extended this out across portions of Washington, Oregon, into Northern California. And of course, that would include British Columbia as well. And the 8 to 14 day. And yes, the above average signal is there, which makes sense with everything we just looked at. And check out the Worldwide Weather Watch page if you would. I'll leave the link down below so you can click on it and go ahead and subscribe and help me get that channel up and running. I only plan on doing that maybe a couple times a week or so, just when some fun weather happens elsewhere on the planet. So anyway, hope you guys are having a good day. Click like and subscribe. We'll do this all again tomorrow, and I'll talk to you guys then.